It's that time of the day when we review the papers on CAM1 radio. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our daily press review on this particular network. The frequency, of course, is 99.5 FM, and this is the People's Radio. We kickstart this session today with the Guardian Post paper, which is out on the stands as we speak. The Guardian Post focuses today on the road accidents and says it is alarming as road accidents have killed as 3,413 road accidents killed, 256 injured, 254 in 6 months. In the last 4 weeks, many Cameroonians have been plunged into total fear of traveling from one part of the country to another by road for work, vacation, or business deals. Traveling by road to many has more than ever before become nightmarish. This, they say, is due to the disturbing number of lives that have been lost and others maintained recently through road accidents on the country's ailing, deteriorating, broken and narrow highways. You can read this story today on page 3 of the Guardian Post paper. Meantime, Douala International Airport Social Affairs Minister launches campaign to combat human trafficking, migrant smuggling, as it is also said here and by the Guardian Post, as Irene Gene, Minister of Social Affairs, combats this particular phenomenon. UBA Cameroon University of Marwa signed a partnership to enhance professionalism and secure varsity revenue. You can read the story today on page 5 of the Guardian Post paper, which is on the stands as we speak. Municipal update is also out today and talks about the Islamic Development Bank, which is to fund a 145-kilometer road project in Cameroon. You can read this story today on page 4 of municipal updates. Championing digital revolution in Africa, Nigeria's ex-president Olusegun Obasanjo says ICT universities setting standards. He was speaking via Zoom at the opening ceremony of ICT for Africa confirmed in Yaoundé yesterday. You can read this story today on page 3 of municipal updates. Urban Development Minister announces 4.5 billion francs CFA to mobilize and tackle youths Yaoundé potholes problems. You can read all of these stories today on municipal updates, most precisely on page 3. In the Far North region, military on high alert against Boko Haram suicide bombers, or what is commonly called kamikaze. You can read this story today on page 3 on municipal updates. The Chronicles Times is also out today and says Quebec suspends idle funds transfer to SEDEC. Meantime, ICT for Africa conference, ICT University rallies over 6 countries to chart digital evolution and opportunities. You can read this story today on the center page of the Chronicles Times, which is also out as we speak. Fire consumes wine company Sofa Vengs and Sam office in Yaoundé. You can read this story today on the Chronicles Times as Cameroon exports first aluminium ingots to Algeria under the AFCTA. You can read all of these stories today on the Chronicles Times. Health news is out, and health news talks about something which is really very peculiar and says the Felicite Health Center located in the Mefu and Afamba subdivision center region is facing a major challenge. Unpaid bills from refugee patients, internally displaced persons, and other vulnerable populations in Kolanga. Despite the fee services offered by the hospital, the lack of equipment, staff, and the late delivery of medicines are hampering its progress and its ability to provide quality care to those who need it the most. You can read the story today on Health Newspaper, which is out. Meantime, Health News also talks about sister hospital Simbok offering consultation at reduced cost in order to prevent various health issues associated with adolescent reproductive health, complications of pregnancy and childbirth. The Our Lady of Rosary Medical Center in Simbok is organizing a special holiday 20% discount on the prices of medical checkups from July 15th to August 15th, 2024. You can read all of these stories today on a Health Newspaper. Drug use. The health minister unveils 2024 to 2030 national plan to combat illicit drugs in Cameroon. According to the Minister of Public Health, the Centers for Care, Support and the Prevention in Addiction Centers, Centre de Soins, d'Accompagnement et Prévention en Addictologie, CSAPA, received 20,057 patients in 2023 alone. That the 19 to 32 age groups is most at risk, as 96% of the cases recorded are single. 68% are still in school, and 41% are inactive or have no occupation. You can read the stories today on the Health newspaper, which is out on the stands as we speak. The French papers are also out today, and you know we here at CAM1 have the grander tradition of always translating these papers and stories for you in Cameroon and in Limbe. Le Jour headlines today with Yaoundé, capital of fear. This caption comes as a result of the senior divisional officer of Fundi in the Central Region's note, where he says that anybody who publicly criticizes President Paul Biya's regime will have difficulties living or spending time in the nation's political capital, Yaoundé. Le Jour goes further to say that some people will even be banned from spending time in the nation's political capital as a result of this phenomenon. La Voix des Jeunes is also out today, also focuses on the same story as Le Jour concerning the SDO's note, who has temporarily prohibited the stay of a certain category of Cameroonians in his area of command. The paper also talks about or questions the contribution, the Constitution of Cameroon, rather, which guarantees the freedom of speech to all Cameroonians who should be able to circulate throughout the national territory freely. Le Drapeau is also out today. Le Drapeau also headlines with the same story as Le Jour and La Voix des Jeunes, but changes the narrative and the reports that the SDO of Fundi, Jigdent Emmanuel Mariel, says the decision to prohibit a certain category of people in its area of command falls in line with maintaining national security. L'Info shows out today headlines with Honorable Cabral Libby, president of the PCRN political party, who condemns the note from the senior divisional officer of Fundi in the Central Region. According to Cabral Libby, the SDO's note defies the Constitution of Cameroon, as reported by L'Info show. La Météo reports that Emmanuel Mariel and Jigdent SDO of Fundi says the media shouldn't serve as a tool to try to dissuade people from representing his orders, or respecting his orders rather, in his area of command. According to La Météo, the SDO further says journalists should be socially responsible when it concerns administrative decisions. L'Actualité is also out today and reports that insurrection will not pass through Mfundu division in the Central Region, as the SDO has derived a strategy to halt all illegal activities and troublemakers. Quotidien Realite also reports on Emmanuel Jigdent's note. According to Quotidien Realite, the SDO of Fundi says it's time to put order by using sane language during debates on radio, television, and newspapers across the country. You can read the story today on page 6 and 7 of Quotidien Realite. Also, the governor of the West Region, Awafonka Augustine, is reported by Quotidien Realite to have intervened in the feud between the Catholic Church and the infuriated traditional chiefs in the Menua division of the West Region. According to the paper, their feud emanated from a burial ceremony where tradition wasn't fully respected, but the governor has calmed the situation and has called on both parties to make peace and knew their respective roles in society. You can read this story today on page 4 and 5 of Quotidien Realite. Cameroon Tribune is also out today, focuses on local development on page 7 and 9, and also the paper focuses on sports with upcoming football championships, exposing efficiency mechanism as the National Football Federation is redoubling efforts in the country to set a solid base for next championship. Preparations also range from sharpening the skills of stakeholders and putting in place well-organized player licensing mechanisms. Information is also out today and focuses on commerce today as the Minister of Trade and Commerce, Luke Mangwa Baga Atangana, and the members of the Alcohol Producers Association, together with representatives of different consumer syndicates, met yesterday to talk about some modalities in the production and the pricing of beer in Cameroon. You can read this story today on page 3 of Informatem. Le Messager is out today reports that over 400 million francs CFA has been distributed via the Solidarity Fund to help improve the living conditions of Cameroonians. This action was done during the 4th edition of the Mutualist Convention. Also, the page on page 10 of Le Messager, Sukapam is reported to be facing some major challenges. L'Action is out today, focuses on the registration procedures of electoral lists and says the CPDM political party is gaining ground with the procedure across the country despite the extension of mandates for parliamentarians, an activity which is still going on until the 31st of August 2024. Kame Press reports that Gaston Elidwe Somba, Minister of Water and Energy, will be conducting a working visit in the littoral and central regions this Wednesday to evaluate a number of projects, including the National Hydroelectric Project, which is actually being evaluated by will be actually evaluated by the Minister of Water and Energy. L'Économie Quotidien focuses on the banking sector today as African Golden Bank began its activities yesterday, 15th July 2024 in Douala, while waiting for its official launching in the days ahead. Also, the inauguration of the BGFE Bank headquarters is announced for December 2024. Eco Sante reports that the program in the fight against AIDS, tuberculosis, and malaria have now recorded or have now new recruits who started effective work yesterday as the Minister of Public Health, Dr. Manauda Malashi, presided over a meeting where the 150 newly recruited personnel were briefed on their job description and activities, an initiative which is fully funded by the World Health Organization. Afrique-Info focuses on the new team which President Paul Biya will use during his 2025 presidential elections and the campaign. You can read this story today on page 2 of Afrique-Info. Also, Afrique-Info also highlights a scandal concerning a particular secretary at one of the ministries in Yaoundé who was celebrating a billion francs CFA of net worth. Afrique-Info also promises to follow up the story on the affair in subsequent editions of its publications. The Yapasson focuses on the governance the Bank of Central African States as the governor of the institution, Yvonne Sanabangi, finishes his tour in all BEAC countries. The last country he visited was Cameroon on the 15th of July 2024. Yvonne Sanabangi is reported to have taken a firm commitment to promote development in all Central African states, particularly in Cameroon. You can read the story today on page 8. Also, Diapasson reports that Cameroon has a public debt of over 169 billion francs CFA. You can read this today on page 5 of Diapasson. Le Témoin is also out, focuses on health today and reports on the engagement and commitment which the Minister of Public Health is putting in the fight against drug addiction in crisis-stricken regions such as the southwest, northwest, and the far north regions of the country. Santé Nature Info is also out today, reports that the Cameroonian government is adopting a new plan in the fight against hard drugs. You can read that today on page 10 of Santé Nature Info. Horizon is out today, headlines today with Dr. Benjamin Akin, who says he is against the candidature of President Paul Biya in the upcoming 2025 elections. Dr. Akin is a professor in aerospatial mechanics at the University of Syracuse in the United States of America. According to Horizon, the doctor believes Cameroon needs a change in leadership. La Patrie is also out as well, reports that the Minister of Transport, Jean-Ernest Massinangale Bibehe, has sanctioned Trésor and Princess Voyage interurban transport agencies from all related transport activities for 7 days due to the non-conformity of transport regulations. West Echoes is out today, reports that a student was found dead at Senator Kunche Albert's home in Banjul. Also, the paper questions why Emmanuel Nyosi leaves Unisport of the Upper Camp Division to go finance Panther du Day. You can read these stories today on the West Echo. Bunya is out today as well. Talks of an accident involving the Trésor Voyage agency where 4 children died on the spot. The application known as a Y-Main driver, which is supposed to act as a guide for the driver to evade accidents, is reported by Bunya not to have been effective. Also, Bunya paper reports that the National Hydrocarbon Corporation has recorded a progress rate of 5.1% in its activities as of 2023. The Hydrocarbon Corporation, in its acronym, is known as SCDP, for those who don't know what it's all about. Now, about the consumer is also out today. Reports on the sale of adulterated fuel, commonly called Zwazwa, which continues to prosper in the country and in Douala most specifically. According to La Voix du Consommateur, 1 liter of adulterated fuel costs 700 to 750 francs CFA, as opposed to the fixed price of fuel in filling stations, which cost 840 francs CFA. The paper questions why the control officers from the ministry are not doing their job effectively, because this Zwazwa pollutes the community and is regarded as a health hazard. You can read the stories today on page 3 and 7, respectively, of La Voix du Consommateur. Écho du Parlement focuses on the transport. The Écho du Parlement focuses on the return of Honorable Hilarion Etong in Yaoundé today, 15th July 2024. It should be recalled that he was recently elected as the new president of the Francophonie Parliamentary Assembly. Écho du Parlement calls his coming back a triumphant one in the country. Le reporter focuses on the activities of the SIC Corporation, which is in charge of the establishment of public housing in Cameroon. According to reporter, the Minister of Housing and Urban Development, Celestin Koucha-Cortez, says the SIC Corporation is proving to be a very stubborn corporation. La Sport, or rather, Emergence reports on the 3,600 billion francs CFA debt in Cameroon, as the National Autonomous Sinking Fund gives details and statistics on the issues as reported by Emergence on page 3 of the paper. Also, Emergence reports that in the Far North region, the Boko Haram Islamic sect have started poisoning water holes and wells to destabilize peace in the region. This was disclosed by the senior divisional officer for the Logun and Shari division in the Far North region. You can read this story on page 2 of Emergence. Expression Économique is out today, focuses on the COBAC's relationship with recalcitrant banks in the nation. Also, on page 2 of the paper, Minister Foucalestus Gentry elucidates the affair on the peak minerals. Lactusport is out today and talks about the Euro 2024 finals as Spain beat England 2-1. You can read all of this on page 6 of the paper. And still on the paper, Lekki FC female team is reported to have won the championship in Cameroon. And it is with that note from Lactusport that we end this edition of the press review on CAM1 Radio. Ladies and gentlemen, we thank you for your keen attention and keep on listening and watching more programs on this particular network. This is the People's Radio, and for presentation, I was Ekome Charles Sabane. See you tomorrow, same time, same place on this network. Oh, yes, my voice is really...